I'm continually surprised when I'm asked to speak at BC High, because I was not known for reverence when I was at BC High, nor am I particularly famous for it since BC High. So I keep wondering, when are they going to get the joke? If I'm less than reverent at different points during this, please understand that I turned down the Cannes Film Festival because I said I'd be here. So back off with all the criticism afterwards. I had a conversation with Pete Skipper recently in which I asked the eternal age-old question commencement speakers the world over ask before they stand up in front of a bunch of 17 and 18-year-old kids. Skip, I said, what the hell am I going to say to a bunch of 17 and 18-year-old kids? No offense. And Skip said, you need to ask yourself, what does God want you to say, Dennis Lehane? Which struck me as either exceedingly profound or a nice use of the old God is cop-out excuse. Very popular with Jesuits when you don't have the answer. So I just want to say, thanks, Skip. But I also want to take a look at that conversation for a moment. It was 20 years since I sat in Pete Skipper's class, and yes, I am dating myself. And we picked up the dialogue as if we'd spoken every day in the interim. As if friendship and mentorship never die. Because if those friendships and mentorships are real, they don't. And I'd like to just take one moment. I want to thank BC High for Peter Skipper. Come on, give a round of applause. I want to thank just a couple of other very influential people at BC High when I was here. There were a lot of influential people. I just have singled out a few. I'd like to thank Dr. O'Huro. I'd like to thank Father Larry Corcoran, Father Peter Hickey, Sue Smith, who kept me from failing geometry, algebra, and Algebra 2. Even though she could have failed me, no problem. And the late Paul Hunter for not jugging me, even when he probably should have. I want to thank this school for those friendships and those allegiances, for the friendships of Chris Mullen and John Dempsey, both class of '83, whom I met here first day of freshman year, and still consider two of the most important people in my life. I want to thank this school because, while it failed to instill in me a respect for ties, although I did wear one tonight, or authority, sorry, or the fashion horror that is maroon and gold, it gave me enduring respect for honorable intention and enduring friendship. I graduated from this school 20 years ago with a less than spectacular GPA, no clearly defined career path, no real sense of what I wanted to be or could be, and then I dropped out of the only college that was kind enough to take me within 4 months. I look back on my late teens and early 20s, and the phrase that occurs to me again and again is this: my poor, poor parents. So to stand before you today and tell you to follow the strict career path of college to corporation to junior partner to corporate board would be disingenuous on my part. And if you don't know what disingenuous means, then the faculty here is really starting to slip. I've been to a few commencements myself, guys. I've sat where you're sitting, so let me dispense with the traditional bromides right off the bat. Dare to dream, follow your heart, be true to your school, don't forget the values your family and elders taught you, blah, 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 blah. I cannot stand up here and do that. The last time I spoke here, I spoke to the National Honor Society, and oddly that speech was so popular that it got disseminated among people, and I can't use it again, which means I had to work for this one. But one of the things I said to the National Honor Society, I said, let me start with the bad news. So let me do that again, because I think one of the worst things you can do to young men and women in this country is sell them sunshine. You are young men about to go out into the world, and the world, as we've left it for you, I hate to tell you, is in some pretty bad shape. Conservatives will have you believe that the solution is to get back to some rosy-hued 1950s era America that never existed. Liberals will have you believe the solution is to build the utopia of politically correct speech and politically correct values where nobody offends anyone and no one does anything bad or messy and everyone apparently dies of total and utter boredom. I see the world through your eyes and I think you must be bewildered because I'm bewildered. I ask myself, where do we turn for honor anymore? Honor. Forget justice, forget truth, we'll just take honor. People and organizations acting honorably. But the last time I checked, no one expected much honor of our government, lower taxes perhaps, but not honor. When given the chance to act honorably in recent dark days, the Catholic Church, to be frank, turned into a corporate board, and the corporate boards of the world are best exemplified by Enron and Tyco and all the other robber barons who wrecked our economy and dummied up behind the Fifth Amendment. We have set a very bad example for you guys, very bad. We were supposed to make the world a better place, and instead it seems more unstable than it has ever been. So where do you turn for guidance, for a sense of identity and purpose? If I remember anything about being 17 or 18, you won't turn to adults. I know this is not what your parents want to hear, but your kids, and you're at that age where you're pretty much convinced all of us adults are full of BS. Am I right? Okay. Well, you're half right, but you're half wrong. And you won't figure out those halves for about, 6 years or so, until you're out in the real world without a net, and then it gets fun for us. So, dads and moms, just prep for that day and try not to gloat too much when it comes. But now you're young, and you're full of vigor, and you're ready to storm off into this mess we gave you and make your mark. But as I've noted, there doesn't seem to be anything to believe in. You want to believe in your youth culture, TV, PlayStation 2, Doom, Real World in Cancun, Nike, 50 Cent, Eminem, the chance that if you play your cards just right, you'll one day get a date with Britney Spears or Jennifer Garner. Guys, I got more bad news. The youth culture is part of Madison Avenue. It's all about the money. And as a wise man once said, if it's not about the money, it's about the money. Nike tells you to be an individual by wearing their shoes, just like everyone else. Are you getting the irony yet? MTV and Budweiser and Coppertone team up to bring you Spring Break so they can sell you MTV, get you to drink Budweiser, and get you to wear Coppertone. And they don't care if you're an individual, and they really don't care if you meet the nymph woman of your dreams in Cancun or Lauderdale or wherever you go for spring break, because they know you'll be too busy vomiting Budweiser by midnight to get a girl to even look at you twice, no matter how much Coppertone you're wearing. It is, to some extent, all a scam. We have entered the Matrix, my assembled group of Neos, and the world does very much not want you to free your mind. So I've given you the bad news. What's the good news? Well, the good news is that it's pretty much always been this way. The world, since the dawn of time, since the first caveman sold his neighbor a faulty club and used the extra shekels to put a widescreen plasma TV on the wall of his cave, the world has pretty much worked on the same overriding principle. If it's not about money, it's about money. Is this the world you want for yourself? I hope to God not. I hope this school has taught you more than that. I hope the Jesuits and lay teachers here who, when faced with their own scandal here in the last 2 years, faced up to it like honorable men and women, and did not shirk their responsibility or culpability have led by example. I hope you realize what the people doing their best to wreck this world have not, that it is not about the money. And it's not about protecting the image of an institution when that image is propagated on lies. It is about honor. Do you have it? Honor is not Teresa in Calcutta. That's beyond honor. That's sainthood. Honor is not an impossible ideal, something beyond your grasp. Honor is day to day, minute by minute. If you have it, you live it, without question. Honor is not doing what's easy if it hurts a single soul. Honor has no room in its house for cynicism, skepticism, yes, always, but cynicism, no. It has no room in its house for greed, for the mindless pursuit of money or hollow success. Honor is the affirmative answer to one simple question you ask of yourself every day. Did I behave with dignity and respect toward all living things? That is the measure of honor and the measure of men. I like this applause thing. So. If you were cynical, you will say, I wasn't honorable today because the world was dishonorable toward me and I just had to fight back. Sorry, Charlie, wrong answer. The measure of a man lies not in what the world does to him, but rather in how he comports himself within the world. When someone says, oh so cynically, oh so jaded, the world is thus, you must reply, no, thus have we made the world. This is a small little anecdote because I am a storyteller. On 9/11, I saw the whole thing happen in a Dunkin' Donuts, going to get my coffee. And I came home and I spent most of the day holding my head, as most people did. And I had forgotten that in my neighborhood, on second Tuesday of every September, a local florist has Good Neighbor Day. And they give out free roses to everyone. So I was sitting there on September 11th, beginning to fill with hate and revenge and a million other depressing emotions. And there was a ring on my doorbell. And I opened the door, and there was a little girl there. She was standing there with her mother. Mother had obviously known what had happened. Little girl had no idea. And she said, I just wanted to be a good neighbor and give me a flower. And I almost cried. And I could see her mother knew. But this little girl had no idea what 9/11 meant. She just wanted to be a good neighbor. So that was the closest I've ever felt to cynicism filling my heart. And at that moment, something moved through the world and took it out. The little girl with the rose. You gotta wait for those moments. I gave you the bad news first so you can create the good news for yourself. When I finally graduated college, it turned out in my case, third college was the charm. The song they played at the end of commencement was by the Rolling Stones. The song was, you can't always get what you want. And I remember all of us looking at each other and then over at the speakers in disbelief and then back at each other. And we were all thinking the same thing. Well, that's not very nice. Here we are, ready to take on the world, go out and do big things, and make tons of money, and live our 20s like people in beer commercials do, with lots of flashy cars, and flashy women, and everyone looking shiny and happy and exceptionally well-groomed. We're ready to do all that, and you're going to play You Can't Always Get What You Want? This was 1988. The real estate market had just crashed. Jobs had disappeared. The Reagan-era promise of trickle-down economics turned out to be a bit different in spirit than advertised, though very true to any trickle concept. The people up top got the lion's share of the wealth, and the people at the bottom got wet. By the end of the year, a Bush would be in the White House, the economy would be in a nosedive, and we would set course for war in places like Panama and Middle East. And the Middle East, stop me if any of this sounds familiar. You can't always get what you want then became a very real prediction. Life was not a beer commercial. Life was, in point of fact, kind of cold and indifferent to my presence and the presence of my friends. They say if you want to give God a good laugh, tell him your plans. They say, too, that life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. And Steinbeck famously said, the plans of mice and men will surely go awry. This is not to say your life will go awry, only that it will not go as planned. Of the people I knew in college, the one we were certain would become a successful politician, maybe governor of state someday, was, last I heard, working nights at a printing plant. A very talented painter I knew works for the phone company in Seattle. I have a friend who tends bar and lives on a boat in the Florida Keys with his master's degree. Another who became a lawyer for HBO. One of the best writers I have ever met works for the NFL and doesn't write anymore. This is a loss for literature, but it works out okay for me because I get to go to the Super Bowl every year. It does. One of our closest friends from college vanished from the face of the earth. We have no idea what happened to her. Another teaches high school, another died in the World Trade Center on 9/11. Only two of us, the lawyer and me, ended up doing what we set out to do. And both of us are very aware that luck played a huge part in that equation. That's it, luck. Because we beat the odds. You've been spoon-fed every day of your life by TVs, by movies, by the various media outlets that only want your money, that life works. The world is fair, and you are deserving of everything it has to offer. Life doesn't work. The world isn't fair. And you don't really deserve anything unless you're willing to work for it and work honorably, play fair, share your toys. You can't always get what you want. No one can. No one does. Bummer. Okay, what's the next line? If you try sometime, you might just find you get what you need. Want and need. Those are two very different things. I have had, as some of you may know, a very successful past couple of years. I've had a couple of New York Times bestsellers. I won a lot of awards. I hung out with Clint Eastwood. I closed bars with Sean Penn. I spent time on movie sets. And people keep asking, what's it like? What's it like? And I don't know what to say to that. It's stuff. It's noise. It's nice noise. Don't get me wrong. But it's not what feeds me because it's not what I need. Someone asked me what the best moment has been in the last 3 years of this meteoric rise I found myself in, and I thought of this. I was in Spain with my wife and my brother on a balcony overlooking this small medieval town that I think is the most beautiful place on earth. We sat on the balcony all day and we ate and we drank and we talked, me, my wife, my brother, and I remember feeling something that's very, very rare. Perfect happiness. To be with people I love, talking, looking out over a gorge older than the dawn of man into a town filled with Moorish architecture and Spanish swords. That was the moment that dwarfed all others because that was a moment I needed. I don't need money or fame or accolades or limos or famous acquaintances or the validation of strangers. I don't mind those things. In fact, when it comes right down to it, I'll take the financial security, and Sean Penn is, surprisingly, a lot of laughs. But remove all those things and what do you have? I've got friends. If wealth is measured by friends, then I am Bill Gates. And as I said at the outset, two of my closest friends in the world I met right here, freshman year. And my friends, a wide-ranging army of people from all walks of life, some conservative, some liberal, some wealthy, some poor, some black, some white, some Catholic, some Jewish, some Presbyterian, some gay, some straight, some downright out of their minds, some with very questionable fashion sense. My friends are a varied lot. But they all have a couple of things in common. None of them are whiners, because I can't handle hanging out with whiners. All of them are funny, because life is too short not to be able to tell good jokes. None of them are politically correct, and all of them, every last one, owns their mistakes. They own their lives. They don't place blame for their actions at any place but on their own doorstep. They own their actions. That is honor. Own yours. Go out into this messed up world and try to make it better for your sons and daughters. Yes. Make money if you can. Pursue your own happiness. Yes, yes. But try to, please try to do some good. To empathize with and help those people who weren't lucky enough to go to private prep school, have caring parents, come from homes with food on the table and plenty of oil in the furnace. Try to love the world even when it doesn't love you. And realize that you will fail. You will make mistakes, you will feel pain, and you will cause pain, and you will do bad things. The question isn't whether you will do bad things. The question is, how will you react once you've done bad things? Will you leave the mess for someone else to clean up? Will you place blame? Or will you stand up and say, I'm a man. I own this mess. I will not hide behind lawyers or press agents or lies. I don't need lies. I don't need an image. I don't need yachts. I need my friends. I need my honor. Because there are only two things the world can't take from you: your friendships and your honor. Those you gotta give away. And those, I will bet you good money, you have right now. The honor you hold right inside of yourself because you're young and you haven't had too many chances to screw up yet or sell out. And you have friends. Some of your best may be sitting right beside you right now. Some may have just finished teaching you for 4 years. Some, believe it or not, may be your parents, your sisters, your brothers. Some you haven't met yet, but you will. Anything worthwhile must be protected and nurtured. These two things you have, honor and friends, are, believe it or not, all you need. They're everything. They're sacred. And like anything sacred, the world will go after them and try to separate you from them. You cannot let it. Because when they're gone, they don't come back. Like innocence, like youth, like your 10th birthday. Once it's gone, it's gone. Look around at your friends, at your family, right now. Look around at them. And then look inside as only you can at your honor, your soul. It is what makes you an individual. It is what makes you, in essence, you. The only thing that separates you from anyone else. Are you going to give that up? Go with honor into this world, gentlemen. Don't make excuses, make optimism. Don't make a day a little worse for your having been here. Make it a little better. Protect your dignity and your grace and your honor and your friends and your family the way lesser men protect their money and their image and their crumbling structures. I truly hope all of you will get what you want. I hope you live up to the measure of all your dreams. I wish you great health and financial independence and a cool sports car and a jacuzzi. I mean, why not? But if you don't get those things, you are not poor. You are not a failure. You are not a lesser man. As long as you have your honor, your souls, and your friends. Thank you. This has been one of my honors.
Joseph Barron. Charlie the Fourth. Patrick Canty. Christopher Karen. Nicholas Karen. Cleve Charles. Edward Chase. Joseph Connolly. David Cook. Jonathan DeRosa. James Dervishin. Eric DeMau. Francis Donahue. Ryan Donahue. Ryan Donley. Kelly Donahue. Bezenfeld. Jason Flynn. Christopher Griffin. Reed Hayes. Ki Cho Kim. John Lyden. Jonathan McCullen. Nicholas Maloney Jarvis. John Mack. Angel Medina. James. Presenting the diploma to his son, Michael C. Norman. Sean O'Keefe. Kern Pierre Louis. Timothy Smith.